Hello, everybody. All right, today for math, we're going to be working on some division problems, and we're going to be looking at two-digit divisors. So here, if you notice, we're going to do 5,568 divided by 16. Last year in fourth grade, when you divided, this number right here only had one digit, and now we're moving into two for fifth grade. And then we'll continue when we get into decimals. Our division will look a little bit different as well, but it's all going to be the same steps. And so let's get started. All right, the first thing we're going to do is a couple things. So first, we're going to set up our problem. So we're going to put our 5,568. And notice when I write this, I'm spreading my numbers apart. And then we're going to put our 16, our divisor, outside here. And then I'm going to, so this is how you would normally set it up. But to help me organize all of the numbers here, I'm going to extend this line. And I want you to do the same on your whiteboard. And I'm going to make these boxes. And notice I'm making this line when I go up. I'm making it really close to that number, because there's going to be some things that I write in the front here, and so I want that space available. So go ahead and set up your box like that. And if you need, you can pause the video and do it and then come back and push play when you're ready if I'm going too fast. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a multiplication table, and this is going to be my groups of 16. So I'm just going to put 16 over here. I know that if I have one group of 16, that would just be 16. And then if I go to a second group, all I'm doing is adding another group of 16. So that would be 12, 32. So two groups is 32. Then if I add another group of 16, then that would be 48. So three groups is 48. And if I added another group of 16, that would be 64. And if I added another group of 16, that would be 80. So that would be five groups. All right, I'm going to just stop there. And if I need more space, I can always go back and add more groups. But I'll show you in a second how that's going to help us. All right, so I've got my multiplication, my groups of 16. Again, I don't have to do a lot of them. Just do some. And like I said, if you need more, you can always add more. I set up my boxes, and now I'm ready. Oh, nope, a couple more things. I'm going to put up here the steps. So first we're going to divide, then we're going to multiply, then we're going to subtract, and then we're going to bring up. So you can remember it. Does McDonald's sell burgers? All right, so or dad, mom, sister, brother. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring up. All right, so our first step is to divide. So we're going to take each of these numbers inside of our boxes, and I want you to think about the number 5. So if I have 5 of something, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, am I able to circle any of those and I would have a group of 16? The answer, of course, is no. So now I'm going to put how many groups I'm able to make. So I'm able to make 0 groups. And then my next step is to multiply. So I'm going to take this 0, I'm going to multiply it by the 16, and then I'm going to put my answer down here on the bottom. So here's what that looks like. It kind of looks like the letter C. You go like this all the way around. So 0 times 16 is 0. And then my next step is to subtract. And 5 minus 0 is 5. And then this 5 that I got as my answer right here, I'm going to bring this 5 up to the next box. And I'm going to put it right there. Now I'm going to go to my second box. My second box, I have a 55. This time I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to think about if I have 55, I'm not going to draw them because that would be way too many. But just like I did with these 5 dots here, if I had 55 dots, would I be able to make any groups of 16? And the answer is, of course, yes, because I've got more than 16. So I would be able to make several different groups. And so I'm going to come over here to my multiplication chart, and this is where this is going to help me. So think of it again. I've got 55 of these little dots. So I'm going to go and I'm trying to find 55. It's not on my list, but I know 55 is right in between these two numbers, 48 and 64. It's somewhere between there. So I can't make the 4 groups right here because I don't have enough pieces. I only have 55. But what I do have is I can make 3 groups right here because 3 groups is 48. 48, I have that within the 55. So now I'm good. So I can make 3 groups. So the groups goes on top. So divide, we put the number on the top. Then we're going to multiply. Again, we're going to go around like a letter C. So we're going to go around and back to our box, okay? So 3 times 16, and you already did the math over here. It's 48. So we're going to put our 48 in our box. So we divided. When we did the how many times does 16 go into 55? It goes in 3 times. We put the number on the top. Then we multiplied. 3 times 16 is 48. Now we're going to subtract 55 minus 48. Okay, we can't do that. So we're going to come over here. That turns into 4. This turns into a 15. That would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 7. All right, so now we're going to take that 7, and here's where we are in our steps, the bring up. And so we're going to bring that 7 up to the next box, and it's going to go in front of the 6. Now we have 76. So I'm going to come back over here because once I finish the DMSB, I start back up at the top again. It's just the same steps repeated over and over. We're just doing it kind of down as we go through this line of boxes. So for 76, I'm going to come back to my list and I'm going to ask myself, where do I find 76? Well, let me get rid of this other one. I find 76 right here in between 64 and 80. So again, if I only have 76, am I able to make 5 groups? And the answer is no, because then that would need 80. I don't have 80. I only have 76. So I have to stop at the 4 groups right here, and I can make I can make 64. I can make 4 groups because that would be 64, and 64 is in 76, so I'm good. I can't make 5 because that'd be 80, and I don't have 80, so I got to stop at the 4. So again, divide, you put the number on the top, so I'm going to put my 4 groups here. Then I'm going to multiply again. We're going to take the 4, we're going to times it by 16, and we're coming back to this box here. So 4 times 16, again, we already did it. It's 64. Subtract. Go ahead and subtract that. 6 minus 4 is 2. And 7 minus 6 is 1. And that equals 12. So now we're going to take this 12 And just like we did with over here with the 5 and the 7, we are going to move it up. So this is now 128. Well, if you notice in my groups, I didn't go far enough. I need to go a little bit more. So let me get myself some space over here. All right, so my last one I did was 80, and that was 5 groups. So now I'm going to add another group of 16. That gives me 96. Okay, I'm trying to get as close as I can to 128, so I got to keep going. So let's add another group of 16. That would be 9, 10, 11. I'm getting closer, but not quite there yet. All right, now let's do another. That would be 6, 7, 8, 2, and 1. Oh, look, there it is. All right, so 8 groups is 128. Now, here's what this means. Whenever you get, and it's actually like you actually see the number you're looking for over here in your multiplication table, all that means is that it goes into that number perfectly with no leftovers. So 16 can go into 128 8 times. So I'm going to divide. I'm going to put the number on the top. I'm going to multiply 8 times 16. Again, I just did it. 128. Subtract, and there's no leftovers. So what that means is 16. If I was making groups of, so this number, this divisor right here, this is of, groups of, groups of 16. I could make 348 groups of 16 if I had 5,576 8 pieces of something. All right, so very cool. All right, now what we're going to do, let me get rid of some of this here. We are going to take our answer. Whoop, I don't want to go that far. All right, we're going to take our answer. And let me just clean this up so I can have some space. Oops, I needed that. All right, so whatever our answer is, we should be able to multiply that. So 348, we multiply that by our divisor, and that should equal our dividend, which is 5,568. So let's try it. So 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 4 more would be 28. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 2 more is 20. Cross out, cross out, cross out. Let's go to our tens place. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. Add those up. There's our 8. Here's 16. There's our 5 and our 5. So if you notice, 5,568 matches 5,568. So we can multiply to check our answer. So we take our quotient, multiply it by our divisor, and we get our dividend. So that's a good way that you can check to make sure that you divided correctly. All right, let's go ahead and clean this all the way up. And let's try another one. All right, let's try this one here. So 4707. And we're dividing this by 32. Oops. All right. So again, a couple things. Let's go ahead and set this up. So we're doing how many groups of 32 do we have in 4,707? So we're going to make our boxes. Again, that line goes directly behind your number. Make it nice and close and give yourself some space. Remember, we're going to put numbers here. So give yourself some room to write. All right, and then just due to lack of time, I'm going to come grab this right here for us to use. And we're going to pull it right over here. All right. There we go. All right, so groups of 32. So again, our steps are to divide, multiply, subtract, bring up. Does McDonald's sell burgers? All right, so we've got our multiplication chart. We've got our boxes set up. We have our steps. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is think about this first number here, the 4. You always start with whatever number is on the left there. And if I have 4 of something, can I make a group of 32? Well, of course not. So I can make 0 groups. Then I multiply. 32 and 0 is 0. Multiply those together. Subtract, and I get 4, and I bring it up. The 4 goes in front of the 7. Now I've got 47. So I'm going to come to my list, and I see here that 3 groups is too many. I only have 47. This is 96. So 2 groups, if I have 2 groups of 32, that right there is 64. That's also too many. If I have one group of 32, that's just 32. So we're just got to go with the one group. So again, that group, you divide, you put the number on the top, then you multiply. 1 times 32 is 32. Then you subtract. That would be 5 and 1. Then we're going to move that 15 up to the next box and put it in front of our next number. And then we're going to come over here to our list. I know that 150 is between 128 and 160. So I can't do 5 groups because that would be too many. I would need 160. I only have 150. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to stick with the 4 groups. So divide goes on, the number goes on top. We multiply. Again, we already did it here, so we don't need to do it again. 4 times 32 is 128. And then we're going to subtract. Now, if this is, like I made this too small, I needed to make it a little bit bigger. If you made it too small and you don't have enough room, just do it off to the side. That way you don't lose any numbers. Or if you would rather do this on the grid paper, if that helps you. But just do it over to the side or on another sheet of paper so that we don't lose any of our numbers. All right, so we get 22. Then that 22, after I subtract, I'm going to bring it up. So 22 goes in front. Now I've got 227. So I'm going to come back over here to my list, and I'm looking for where that would go. It would go right here. And so again, I can't do 8 groups because I would need 256. I've got to stop at 7 because I have enough. All right, so 7 goes on top. Then we're going to multiply. Again, we already did it. 224. We subtract. That's 3. Now with this one, because we don't have any more boxes right here in this spot here, then we're done. And what that means is the 3 that are left over, that's just our remainder. So after we made our groups, like let's say we had 4,400, or I'm sorry, 4,707 Pokemon cards, and we're trying to make packs of 32. So we're taking that total, that 4,707 cards, and I'm saying, okay, pull out 32, that's going to be one group. Pull out another 32, that's going to be another group. So after we've pulled out all of these groups of 32, we were able to make 147 of them, but then there was a remainder or a leftover of 3. So there's 3 cards that I have left over, and I can't make another group because in order to make a group, I need 32. So those are just my leftovers. So here, now that I've gotten my answer, I'm all done. Again, we're going to check it. So 100, and let me show you how you do that with the remainder. So 147, you take your quotient, your answer, you multiply it by your divisor, and then you should get back your 4,707. All right, so 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more, 9. 2 times 1 is 2. Cross that out, cross that out. Go to your tens place. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 4 is 12, 13, 14. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. Add them up. All right, now notice my answer here doesn't equal my 4,707, but that's because I haven't taken into consideration this remainder. So I'm going to, what you do is after you do that part, you take that answer and you just add your 3 more, and now you match. So we know we did it correctly. So when you're checking, when you have a remainder, go ahead, take your 147, your answer, multiply it by your divisor right here, 32, and then the answer that you get, if you have a remainder, just add the remainder on, and then they should match. If they don't, you made a mistake somewhere and you need to go back and check. But if they match, then you can feel confident that you did it correctly. Alrighty. Thanks for watching.